Good evening, everyone. I am the Commish. This is Hardcore Challenge Live, the official webcast of the Hardcore Challenge, which, as you all know, is the pinnacle of fantasy football competition. If you are not playing in the Hardcore Challenge, you are really not playing with the best of the best in fantasy football. So, it's week 12. We broke down what happened in week 11 last night, and tonight, as we typically do, on most Wednesdays, we break down and unveil our game of the week. So this week, obviously, with only 2 more weeks left in the regular season, this week is huge. It's a huge week. It's divisional for everybody, and several divisions are still up in the air. So there were 2 big matchups that are going to have straight playoff implications. There was one in the NFC and then one in the AFC that both teams were still uncertain about their playoff destiny this season. But one directly affects the division crown, and that is the one I selected as the game of the week. That is in the AFC, the Elite East. You have the 7-4 Stone Ponies. New owner Ryan, currently sitting in first place in the division with a 2-game winning streak, facing off against 6-5 Pale Horsemen, who, if you remember, ran out to a gigantic winning streak out of the gate last season, only to completely fall apart and post nothing for all of their efforts. They did not even make the playoffs. I think they rattled off to like 8-9-0, but to no avail. It was for naught. But Pale Horsemen, who came out a little slow out of the gate this season, but they've come around. They've won 2 in a row. They're 6-5. They're only 1 game out of first. Bison Broncos is also sitting at 7-4, a former champion, tied with the Stone Ponies. Bison Broncos plays Pale Horsemen next week. So there is, depending on how the Stone Ponies and Bison Broncos shake out this week, it could go down to second tiebreaker. Because right now, those 2, who are both sitting at 7-4, they split games this season, so neither holds a tiebreaker in the head-to-head matchup. So it would come down to the division records, and then it would come down to their fantasy points scored. So it could go to second or third tiebreaker, depending on how it shakes out the next 2 weeks. So your game of the week this week is the division leading in the AFC Elite East, the Stone Ponies against the Pale Horsemen. 7-4 against 6-5. A loss would be catastrophic for the Pale Horsemen, and that would probably eliminate them. When you're the other playoff team, wild card is 7-4, and you know one of these guys is going to be 7-4 as well. That would just about put you out. A 6th loss. So this is do or die time. The playoffs have already starting for Pale Horsemen and Willie. Let's take a look at the matchup. The Stone Ponies come in with Mariota at quarterback up against Matty Ice, Matt Ryan, for the Pale Horsemen. Matt Ryan is at home with Tampa Bay. Mariota on the road at Indianapolis. Both are fairly favorable matchups, even though Mariota's on the road. But Mariota, I am not sold on Mariota at all. He did not look good again last week, and Matt Ryan and the Falcons are clicking. I give the big lean to the Pale Horsemen in this one at the quarterback position. Now, Pale Horseman, it's interesting that he has 2 running backs playing for the same team starting on his team. But when you look at it's the duo of Mark Ingram and Kamara, that's a duo that has been scoring, both of them, every week. Because they are a 2-headed monster. They are both getting touches. Kamara gets a lot of catches out of the backfield, so he's scoring in other manners than being just a straight-up running back like Ingram. although Ingram catches balls out of the backfield as well. But having those two typically on the same team is typically not a good thing. But in this case, when you're looking up against Carlos Hyde on the other side and Booker for the Broncos, even though he's running two Saints, I'm giving the lean to the Pale Horseman. Now, at the wide receiver position, you've got Benjamin for Buffalo and Larry Fitzgerald for the Cardinals for the Pale Horsemen, up against A.J. Green and Thielen for Stone Ponies. Giving the lean, big lean at wide receiver to the Stone Ponies in this game. As you got A.J. Green at home going against the Browns, you got Thielen on the road at Detroit, and Thielen has been he's been consistent putting up numbers. Another Viking for the Stone Ponies is their tight end, Rudolph, also at Detroit. And you got Cameron Brate for the Bucks at Atlanta. The Bucks offense is questionable without Jameis in there, and questionable at best. Is Fitzmagic going to get it done and deal it to Brate? I doubt it. I got to give the lean at tight end to the Stone Ponies. Kickers, obviously a wash. Now, Stone Ponies have a interesting defensive matchup as they have the Patriots at home against Miami. The Dolphins are just bad, and there's a possibility of some big turnover points for the Patriots D. Now, you've got the Chiefs D at home with Buffalo coming to town for the Pale Horsemen. The Bills are putting Tyrod Taylor back in there, so that is an interesting one as well. But I think the Patriots at home against the Fish is a much more favorable matchup for the Stone Ponies. Looking across individual defensive players, nobody jumps out at me as any big guy other than the guy on IR that obviously the Pale Horsemen need to move. He's got a guy sitting in IR as his defensive back, Tyvon Branch. So he needs to make that move. But I don't see any big guys that jump out. Levante David, he has the possibility to pick up a lot of sacks because I got a feeling their defense is going to be on the field a lot against the Falcons. So he has a pick up a lot of tackles. And if he could grab one sack to mix in there, Levante David is the one that really stands out as me as possibly being the guy with your defensive individual players between these two. Now, NFL.com has the Stone Ponies as a very small favorite in this game. I lean that way a little bit, but the thing is, the Pale Horsemen, with their dual running back at the Saints, they're going... It's a very close game. I think it's going to be very close. I think the Stone Ponies are going to score better in defense, their wide receivers, tight ends. But Matt Ryan has the possibility to have a gigantic game at home against Tampa Bay. It's a tough pick. I'm going with the Pale Horseman. I've changed my own mind as I went through the breakdown. I changed my own mind because I was originally leaning Stone Ponies, but I think the Pale Horseman can take this one in a tight contest. So we will see. We will see. That's my pick for this week. And if they happen to take down the Stone Ponies and pull off the win in the game of the week, it's going to make things very, very interesting. Very interesting going down the stretch. Because there's a possibility one of these teams could still, if they end up slipping and losing these last two, could miss the playoffs. What a collapse that would be, as they're sitting so close, both of them. But we will see. We will see. It's going to be definitely going to be interesting. So there you have it. There's your Week 12 Game of the Week. New owner, Stone Ponies. Owner Ryan. Current leader of the AFC Elite East. Facing off against Pale Horseman, who's only ever made one playoff appearance in 2012. That was as a co-owner. They have to win these last 2 games to even have a chance. It's going to be interesting. It's a lot of very interesting games and matchups that have a lot of playoff implications this week. So it's going to be a very, very interesting week to see how things shake out. Who's still alive and still kicking come Tuesday. We'll see. Are you ready for the challenge? Good luck. Game on.